Good evening, and welcome to Soluble, America's Political Central. Today is September the 27th in the year of our Lord, 2023. So, to my fellow Democrats, the second Republican debate, is upon us. Now, what does it mean? What does it say to us? What does it say to us as a country, as voters, when the leading candidate on the Republican ticket is a no-show at the debates? And so with this 6 to 7, candidates that we have on stage, it means little to nothing. So in order to solve, which is the ultimate goal, we as Democrats right now are duty bound to be focused on the current front runner, although he is absent, which is the former president, Donald J. Trump. Now, we should already be able to see the weakness there in the candidates who will be on stage tonight. Because in the past, these were the former president's enablers, his acolytes, if you will. And so, it's kind of like saying, this guy is a good guy, this guy's a good guy, good to be president, this, that, and the third. And then all of a sudden, you're changing your mind because, you're mad at it for no legitimate reason. I mean, they have a good reason to be, hoping that one of them would win the nomination versus the former president, because he's constantly losing. And as we've said before here at Soluble, it's not, the former president's policies, the way he's conducted himself while in the Oval Office. It's none of that. These 7 candidates up on stage tonight are in discontent and running against the former president only because he can't win. Only because he can't win. So, it is no time for alarm bells to our fellow Democrats and those independents who will err on the side of constitutional security, constitutional caution, constitutional protection. Those independents who will err on the side of either any of those, it's not cause for alarm bells. But we have to take a look at, the situation at hand here as to the opposition as it comes to not fellow Americans, but the opposition in ideals. This is what we're looking at here. Now, we're 247 years in, as we constantly state here at Soluble. 247 years in. And with the state of democracy being what it is, for a nation with institutions of higher learning from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, what does this say about us as a country if we can't, get over this hump, if you will? I mean, the former president doesn't have enough intelligence to understand that he's in the minority when it comes to the country being in agreement and lockstep behind him. He doesn't have enough intelligence to see that his actions since the November 2020 elections haven't necessarily increased his voters. Now, here it is upon us, as I said, and we're going to, take care of our own house as Democrats. That's what we have to do, because, the Republicans are coming out of their playbook, as they classically do. In this point in time in history, in this point in time in politics, where you have a sitting president who is a Democrat, and we control the Senate also. And so what do they do here at this point in time? Hammer over and over and over again the same negative message, the same negative dialogue. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, it has any true substance to it. The point is just to keep saying it over and over again, and maybe eventually you'll become brainwashed. Maybe eventually, you'll change your mind. But there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. The country is moving forward. And of course, here we have differences of opinion. We have, 3, 4 days with a shutdown looming, where we can't, possibly get anywhere from 5 to 7 rogue House members to come on board and work hand in foot with Democrats to pass a spending solution to keep the government open. They won't tell us what the purpose of shutdown serves. They won't tell us what purpose it serves. And so, one who is thinking Democrat or leaning Democrat on a regular basis can only conclude that is to, make the president look bad and make Democrats look bad. But what does this say about the party? Now, as I said, 4 to 5 members of the House can do this kind of damage to the American economy. I mean, Mitch and Foodie has already, Fitch and Moody, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, has already downgraded us, has already downgraded the credit rating. And so what purpose does this serve? Can one say that one loves one country so much that they're willing to shut down the government? I mean, to what the Republicans say, control spending? I mean, the former president, he ran a deficit up $7 trillion under his watch. $7 trillion, and this was just in 4 years. Albeit a lot of it had to do with the coronavirus. We're gonna be fair to him there. But $7 trillion, that's a lot of money. So point being that it's not that, it should be some finger pointing here back and forth as to, who is causing the deficit to balloon the most, Republicans or Democrats. Because, we have to pay our bills. Where we can cut spending, of course we should. Where we can cut back as far as earmarks, for example. We know that, former Governor Haley, she's let the cat out of the bag. And so you would think that since that's been revealed when it comes to earmarks, how much further ahead the Republicans are versus Democrats, based on a Republican statement by the former governor from South Carolina. It wouldn't be this kind of a tug and war, this kind of a seesaw battle, just to pass a responsible spending bill. Now, with the smoke and mirrors that it is, and that is becoming, of course the Republicans are saying, we have to do this to control spending. But then once, the spending, the continuing resolution comes out, and the government, remains open or reopens, then, they go back to the same shenanigans, more earmarks, more doing things behind closed doors that they're hoping that you, the American people, don't see. And so, one can only look at the debates tonight and see, maybe who's vying for right now at this particular point in time in the election season or the primary season. One can only think that these 7 candidates on stage tonight are not, they're running for the office of president. But with the numbers being what they are, and they know that they haven't pushed back on the president effectively enough, they're going to settle for number 2. Maybe a vice president, if they act nice enough and kiss the ring. Maybe a cabinet position, if they act nice enough and kiss the ring. Because that's what the polling numbers are telling us. And so here we have it. Nothing has changed. And based on what happened in November 2020, where we won the election and we saved America, that shouldn't change either. We're ready to come out in the same numbers with the same enthusiasm, determination. Now that 90-something plus percentile, the Republicans want you. They either want you or they want to stop you. Why, should it be both? They should either want you or let you vote, the way that you're determined to vote, and maybe come out later to try to make the case of why you should change your vote or change your party affiliation. But you hold the line. And we have to dig deeper into the discussion there. But it's plain to see. It's plain to see that the right wants to wreck government, turn things upside down as a way to push back on the power of so-called minorities in this country. It's plain and simple. It's the bottom line truth. And that's why, you can only have someone like Trump after the first African American president in American history, who, by the way, did nothing but try to move America forward in the most presidential, committed, loyal way that he could. So we have to stand up for this. I mean, Democrats, we're going to be responsible, and we'll only have ourselves to blame if we allow another shellacking, in the words of the former President Obama, like we did in 2010. It only happens. This former president can only be sworn in again to office if we don't show up. So with that being said, it doesn't matter. We know this now. It doesn't matter how many Republicans, these big numbers of support that he have by all leading polling indicators. If the former president has gained more voters than he's lost since January 6, 2021, then this country is in real trouble. And we as Democrats and those independents who will err on the side of protecting the Constitution, we have to see that and realize that. I mean, 4 indictments. Constantly coming out with, saying things that are so unpresidential, carrying himself in such a way that's unbecoming of a president of the United States of America. Now, since Joe Biden, things calm down. We've seen the former president on Truth Social where he'll make a couple statements here and there. But, we had almost forgot about the name calling, which is such a terrible example for our children. And this is one of the reasons why we here at Soluble don't get it, as to why the Republican Party is propping the former president up in this way. But we're back to the name calling again. Such degrading. Such a degrading way of conducting oneself, and, just like the same MO, former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, is, calling the former president out, for conduct unbecoming. And now all of a sudden, he's sloppy Chris Christie. Is this what we need? And the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we stuck with this, or can we solve it? Are we stuck with this problem, or can we solve it? And there's only one answer. That is the American way. And this should let us know, and we should be thinking, our Father in heaven, or if you don't believe your lucky stars or whatever. But this is why we should be so thankful for the system that we have in place. This Constitution, with this system of checks and balances, this sets of laws and rules, because we don't have to live with it. Imagine if we were a country, say, for example, like Russia. And we see what President Putin is doing to the country, forcing citizens to flee, forcing war upon them. And, we see the same character traits in the former president. So we're blessed to have this system in place as a stopgap measure to the madness, to the BS. Now, the former president, he was in Michigan today. Now, on behalf of all people, if you can believe this, it was workers, the working class, if you can believe this. We can only, listen and hope for, something that's tangible. But based on, you know, what happened when the president came into office, if we recall, Lordstown, Ohio, there was an automotive plant there, an automotive manufacturing plant there. And the president, guaranteed, reassured. And it's not that, things can't change, and it's a situation where the president can't control everything on the ground. We get that. But the president is so braggadocious, so egotistical with it when he brags, that only he can do it. And he let the people of Lordstown, Ohio know, rest assured, your job's not going anywhere. The plant's going to remain in place. And what happened? Poof. Now, a president of empathy would come out and explain to the American people, particularly those workers in Lordstown, those residents, those business owners who depended on that, money that the workers, that they generated from the workers working at the plant. And so, if you value the way we live here in America, the system that we live under, we're under the test more than ever. More than ever, this is a test, because it still remains to be seen, even though the system of checks and balances are working. That word working is something that tends to mean something that's actually happening, something that is in process, in progress. Worked, on the other hand, what an ED means, it's succeeded. It's been accomplished. It's a finished product. So it really remains to be seen if this system works to the point where no one is above the law, because the president is pushing, he's fighting. It's possible that he could, lead from behind bars, of all places. And all of this from a former president who loves his country, And so, we here at Sergeant, we've never seen a president in our lifetime of 50 something plus years. We haven't seen a president, who loves his country so much, in this country in particular, that he's willing to drag it down. And all those with it who are fighting for it. You have the former president attacking General Milley. That's went away. You haven't seen President Biden come out and attack a general, attack somebody of the opposition in the Republican Party. You haven't seen it. And until we do see it as Democrats, as I said, we should rally around our own being our president, our ideals, the way we shape and form policy for all Americans, and block out everything else. The majority rules, and we're ruling. And, that's all that matters, because what that means is the people who have voted for this majority are, getting their just desire, from based on what the president has campaigned on. And he's always said it unequivocally, unwaveringly, that he is for the middle class. He's a champion of the middle class. And, we've seen evidence of compassionate conservatism or trickle-down economics. What will be any different? Now, as I said, some of these 7 contestants will be, running for cabinet positions, more than likely, if the polling numbers don't change. So we'll listen to the debates and try to take, like a hint of what a second MAGA administration may look like. But, the former president is very vindictive. He may choose to, go away from all 7 to 8 of them. We definitely know that, if the former president wins the nomination, we definitely know that Mike Pence is out. We definitely know that. And so, he's name called Ron DeSantis, DeSanctimonious. He hasn't really, lashed out at former Governor Haley, Senator Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Doug Burgum. He hasn't, had a reason to attack these candidates. And it's namely because they really haven't, spoken out against him or been critical of his policy, his ideals, or the way he conducts himself in office. And so there's really nothing much to see here. This is a party that really can't get his house in order. And, it's got like a nuisance of a pest amongst itself that the best of pest controllers can't seem to eradicate in the form of President Trump. And so, it's looking like a boys versus men game. And the former president doesn't even have to show up. He doesn't even have to show up. So, how much more convincing do we need as Democrats, as to what we need to do in this moment in time? The Republicans have fell off the wagon. We see no indications of soon-to-be sobriety. And so, what other recourse do we have? We're going to make the case, as I've stated before. Now, not, pretending to be, like some Nostradamus, or that we have some crystal ball here that we can look into the future. But we are where we are at this point in time since the midterm. Investigations, no legislation. Now, you've seen a number of Democrats, a good number of Democrats come out and call for Senator Menendez to step down, to resign. Now, we don't want to prejudge the senator, but it looks bad. Even though he's innocent until proven guilty, it looks bad. But one thing we do know is that the Democrats are showing us the role model way that government should be. Now, do we have any reason to be, once again, losing faith in government, or thinking that, they're all corrupt and they just get away with it? No, they're showing us how the system works. All the evidence is out there for the American people to see. You have freedom of the press to ask questions, to dig, to investigate, which keeps government on track because it holds politicians accountable. You see the senator driving away from his hearing today, caught surrounded by a press pool, although he don't want to talk. But this is the way that government should work. And so any evidence of a two-tier system, we should be able to realize now that it's all nonsense. It's just something put out there to make you distrust government. And, we don't quite understand. We don't have the words to sum that up right now or to explain to you as to why Republicans we want to create so much distrust in government. Maybe they want to take it back to the states and let the good old boys handle it. Because then, there is definitely a reassurance there that America will work in their minds as the legendary senator who formed this party, Strom Thurmond, in their minds is working the way they intended it to work at the state level, so that they can push, a certain group of people, a certain racial group of people first, and then they're only scraps for everyone else. Or what else could it be? We're open to ideas. We're open to any other opinion. But for whatever reason, the Republicans are constantly wanting to create distrust in government. The very government they pledge to serve. Instead of creating distrust, why don't they try to bring a bill to the floor and reach across the aisle for compromise on said bill? Investigations. Senator Menendez is being held to account. Former President Donald J. Trump is being held to account. There's nothing two-tier about it. The evidence is there. And so whether it's the Justice Department, the FBI, they're duty obligated. They're duty obligated to go where the evidence takes them, to root out crime, to root out corruption, because the two don't go hand in hand with our politics. They don't go hand in hand with our politics. And so one of the reasons why we feel is as though the Republican Party has completely fell off the wagon. The moral compass in this party, where it once pointed in a certain particular direction, now spins. Now spins on a regular basis. Now, as we've stated over and over again, we're 247 years in as a country. The policies are what they are. The Supreme Court has been, pushed to the far right as it is because of Democratic inaction. First and foremost, these things could not happen if we as Democrats rally to vote. If we, become apathetic, nonchalant, then the former president, will be president of the United States of America again, if we're not careful. So we have to know that first and foremost, the responsibility of protecting the and defending the Constitution lies solely right now because of what we see from the other party. This is not prediction. This is not grasping at straws or, where we're saying, well, somebody told us this about the Republican Party. We see it. We see it, the blatant hypocrisy. The Republicans are hell-bent on going after what they told us was the Biden crime family. But as far as the former President Trump, whereas the evidence is right there, it's being put out, it's being revealed to the American people for all eyes to see daily. Another good thing about the system with open records. But the evidence is being put out there daily. And these hypocritical Republicans turn the other way and say, no, that's not the problem. That's witch hunt material. That's trumped up. That's things that are made up. It's fake news. And so we don't want to deal with that. We're not going to entertain it. But what we are going to do is we're going to go after the Biden crime family. This is something that's made up. This is something straight out of a fairy tale where, with it being, as I said, we're an intelligent nation with the institutions of higher learning that we have. And here you have the Republican Party going into something elementary, as if to say, monkey see, monkey do. You impeach our president, we'll impeach yours too. This is what this is. Now, if you've been paying attention, you notice that, over the past few days, weeks, or whatever, it slowly died down. This ratcheting up of, we're almost there, ready to connect the dots with the president to his son Hunter. It's starting to wane. It's starting to die down. Will common sense prevail? We don't know. We don't know. But this is, revenge politics, gotcha politics. We're not going to cooperate with you on nothing. We're going to remain the party of no until we win back these seats and win back the Oval Office. So what happens to America in the meantime? Now, to my fellow Democrats and independents who are going to err on the side of the Constitution, we already know what's going to happen. More people are going to lose faith in government. Wages are going to remain stagnant. And the Republicans, don't have to get in a hurry to move because, they're for the super wealthy. So their donors are still pouring money into the coffers. Their millionaire, billionaire donors, think this is a great thing. So, they're drawing a paycheck, these Republican politicians, and, their coffers are being constantly kept full by the rich and the powerful. So they're thinking, as I said, what do we have to lose? But this is no way to govern. And as Democrats, as I said, it's on us. If we were in the majority in 2020, there's no reason why we shouldn't be in the majority in 2024, especially after January 6th, 2021. But don't show up on election day and, there's no griping, there's no finger pointing, unless it's at yourself. The speaker, Speaker McCarthy, with this slim majority, words of profile and courage here. Words that dig down deep, into the speaker's character to do the right thing. Now, he's afraid to reach across the aisle and work with Democrats because Congressman Gates, Congresswoman Taylor Greene, they're threatening to take the gavel because he sold his soul just to get the gavel. And now there's party infighting. I mean, this is equivalent to, I can't get my house in order, but I want to govern over yours. That's what we have here today in the Republican Party, ladies and gentlemen. They can't get their own house in order. What's the solution? What's the soluble thing to do here? For Democrats, is to turn up and turn out and encourage others to do the same thing. That's first and foremost. And then there's, debate still to be had after the elections, policy making, bills brought to the floor. But we'll have a better chance of getting them passed if we're in the majority. If we can, take back the House. If we could take back the House of Representatives, it would be what's best for America. The forefathers would, look down and smile, if you will. So, as we said last night, everything that the Republicans are doing or accusing the Democrats of, we see it. We see the hypocrisy there. And it's for a reason. This is possibly divine intervention. You see it for a reason. Just when you were starting to be brainwashed or convinced that there's a two-tier system here, up pops Senator Bob Menendez. And you had the majority leader today. The majority leader come out, no fear, no trying to measure his words because, he's worried about repercussions or the blowback that he's going to get from Menendez supporters. What the blowback is going to look like on Twitter or the platform X, formerly known as Twitter. The majority leader is not worried about anything of the sort. And this is what, honorable, patriotic politicians should look like. And you would think that, the Republicans would take a page out of this playbook and put it in their own playbook. You have the majority leader come out today and say that, in no uncertain terms, that, although, he doesn't know the scale of the level of corruption that Senator Menendez has done, it falls way below the standard of what should be going on with a senator in this powerful body, the Senate, on Capitol Hill in the United States of America. The majority leader came out and set an example. Will we see it from the right tonight? Will we see it from the right tonight? 4 indictments. Here's Senator Menendez is with by all accounts, what, one? One, cash, gold bars, sports cars. And you have 20 to 30 politicians from the left now coming out, in no uncertain terms, no minced words, and calling for the senator's resignation. Lo and behold. And so, by comparison, we should take that wait and see approach to see what's going to happen here. As of now, the Republicans haven't condemned a constitutional menace. After 4 years, many of the former president's supporters, staff have come out with books, come out and made statements to the press that, those who were behind the scenes, to let us know, what we can expect with another Trump presidency. And, the president is the former president has to be, very egotistical to not realize that, am I doing more harm to the country or good? And in that situation, one who loves their country would, look at the situation for what it is. And no matter how hungry they are for power, wealth, influence, they would do the right thing for the country. They would give reverence to the Constitution. But as of yet, we haven't seen it. But we know that, although both sides can engage in hypocrisy, we haven't seen it at this level from Democrats. And if we do see it, we have to continue to set that example to call it out, so that the youth who are coming up behind us will see and be able to make a determination, one from another. We're walking the walk as Democrats, and we're talking the talk. You don't see, politicians like we do on the right, fearing that, if Senator Menendez resigns and someone comes up and challenges and runs for the seat, we may lose it to a Republican. You don't see Democrats thinking like that. This is what it looks like when you put country first. And you would think the Republicans, would take note of that. It remains to be seen. Let's keep hope alive. Let's be optimistic here. Regardless of what's happened up to this point, let's take the glasses half full approach and, hope that we will see Republican politicians first and foremost, grow that steely spine that it requires to defend the Constitution and protect the Constitution. Let's hope. But as of right now, it remains to be seen. So the debates, they're coming up here, some less than 30 minutes away, right around, 30 something minutes away. And let's get ready, but to some of us, it's probably going to be boring because we've seen this movie before. But for the sake of the country, as Democrats, we should be paying attention and ready to push back, at every turn, defending our policies and why, they work best for America. Considering all things, knowing all things. Here you have one strong man who has, become the equivalent of the bully of the party. That makes all other candidates besides himself slink away in intimidation. But yet, they want you and I to believe that they're fit to serve. That they're fit to serve, in the highest office of the land. One would think that, some of our Senate colleagues on the right would eagerly get together with House members to get this, continuing resolution passed so that we don't have to be dealing with a government shutdown, which serves no purpose. We all know. But to hurt them, if anybody's going to hurt, it's going to hurt the middle class. Now, we don't know if the president mentioned something about the former president, as you were. We don't know if the former president, while he was in Michigan today, mentioned anything about the shutdown. We have heard, in the past, he's felt like if you can't get everything you want, shut it down. And, one of the main reasons, as sickening as it is, the former president is suggesting that shut it down so it will stop all these endless investigations. He wants the feds off his back. Does this sound like a man who's innocent? If it's a witch hunt, let him hunt. I'm innocent. If it's fake news, let him print it. At the end of the day, I'll be exonerated because truth will prevail in the end. But these are the acts of a desperate man. Perhaps the former president won't entertain the debates, not because he's so far ahead in the polls, as American voters, and especially as Democrats, and keep in mind, as I said, when a president takes the Oval Office, we should look at that as a man, who should be, judged or looked upon for a profile and courage in holding this office. But the former president, as I said, he won't get engaged in the debates. And it's quite possible that it's not because he's leading so much in the polls that he won't engage in the debates. It very well could be, in all of his smartness and intelligence, he doesn't want to engage in the debates because he doesn't want it to be revealed just how incompetent that he truly continuously is, and his poll numbers go down. That's our position here at Soluble, is that the president is afraid to come out on the debate stage. The former president is afraid to come out on the debate stage and make the case because he's afraid that his blunders and his rambling will cause his numbers to shrink, and people will change their mind and be reminded of, why they thought about voting for DeSantis or any of these other candidates. That's pretty much what it is. And you will only hear it here at Soluble. The former president is afraid. It's not like he's getting up on the witness stand to plead for his life or to testify on behalf of not losing his freedom. He's not under no threat of incarceration, death, or anything. So what is the fear? And this, former president wants to be leader of the free world again. No spine, no backbone. Afraid of being exposed. A true leader comes out, and owns his mistakes, or owns up to, his wrongdoings or his shortcomings or what have you. This is what a true leader does. He doesn't shrink away from the spotlight. Can you imagine Jordan making an excuse to sit out Game 7 of an NBA Finals? Can you imagine Joe Montana making an excuse, faking an injury, and not playing in a Super Bowl. But yet this former president wants us to believe that he's so smart and his ideas are so great for America, and it's broken to the point where only he can fix it. But yet he won't come out and make the case as to how it's going to be done. Now, facts. The deficit went up $7 trillion under the former president in 4 years. He said he was going to stop immigration, build a wall. Immigration numbers increased under the former president. The former president said that anybody that plead the fifth, must be doing something criminal, has something to hide. He's pleading the fifth left and right in these cases that's facing him in New York. And so as Democrats, we have no other alternative, no other place that we can go except the voting booth, which is just saving grace in America. This is the way that we rid ourselves of politicians who don't work for America, country first, and American citizens right there shortly thereafter. So at this point in time, we're going to get ready for the debates, and we're going to be ready to come out after the debates as factually as we can to hopefully rally our base first and foremost, seeing the importance of keeping democracy alive and well, exposing the perils that the former president are capable of inflicting on the republic. This is what we're here for, to solve it, and we're patiently waiting, for those on the right to get it together. But as Democrats, we're steering the ship now. We have the Oval Office, and we have to support the president wholeheartedly on his quest to keep Americans safe, keep the country strong, the economy vibrant, promoting the general welfare, provide for the common defense, as stated in the Constitution. So let's stay tuned. Let's get ready for the debates, and we'll come back shortly thereafter, either later this week or definitely starting next week, to once again come on to try and end gridlock. Put ideas out there, opinion, factual evidence of what's going on Capitol Hill, so that we can see the importance of holding the majority that we have to this 90-something plus percentile African American that votes in the Democratic Party. We need to hold that number there or keep it higher. Or our position here is soluble. Our request here is soluble is to give us the reasons, why we shouldn't, why we should, look for, if it's an independent candidate, so be it, or, by any stretch of the imagination, why we should look at this particular candidate on the right and give him the vote. So, we see what it is, or we should. And if there are any smoke and mirrors, then, we here at Soluble are going to do our best to take them away, so that you can see the path clearly and not be confused. So let's get ready to tune into the debates, and we look forward to bringing you, another podcast soon hereafter, keeping you informed and trying to solve as it relates to American democracy and what's best for all of us as American citizens, regardless of race, creed, or color. So until we meet again, this is Soluble signing out, saying good night and God bless. Thank you for joining us. Good night.